If you've been watching the show recently, you would have seen I picked up this. What in the world is this? Well, if you haven't seen the recent videos, this is a 77-17 chambered in 17 Winchester Super Magnum, 17 WSM. What is a 17 Winchester Super Magnum? Well, it's a rimfire. And so my question was, well, how does the 17 Winchester Super Mag compare to the 17 HMR? Well, let me show you a close-up look here real quick. I've only been able to find one type of ammo so far for this 17 Super Mag, this Winchester Varmint HV. It's a 20 grainer, 3,000 feet per second is what the box says. We're fixing to find out. I actually have the exact same loading that Varmint HV in 17 HMR, that's what that is. But for whatever reason, they load it in a 17 grain. And they both say polymer tip. Well, the polymer tip on the 17 HMR is gray. But I did, however, go to my stash and found some of this 20 grain 17 HMR so that we can compare it to the 20 grain 17 Super Mag. You think 17 HMR, you think 17 grain projectile. I knew that was going to be the biggest comment. Well, you're not using the same weight projectile. I read all y'all's comments every day. I can almost predict on every video what y'all are going to comment. Anyway, so I wanted to compare the two, get some chronograph speeds, and then I said, you know what? We got the 17 HMR, the 17 WSM. Let's go ahead and just throw in on top of it some more rimfires. It's also brought out the 22 mag, the 22 LR, and the 5.7. So I'm not gonna make this a long, boring video, but let me line them up real quick, just so we have a visual. And then we're gonna send them through the chronograph, and I'll sum it all up at the end with a quick little bit of data. All right, so this is a visual you might have never seen up close before, but something interesting. We'll go ahead and look at the bottom of them. One of these is not like the others, huh? Well, they're all a little bit different actually, but the one on the left is the 5.7, which is not rimfire. It is a centerfire, but the rest are rimfire. You can see the 4 on the right. But just looking at the bases, you can see how much bigger the base of that 17 Winchester Super Mag is. So from left to right, we have 5.7, 22 mag, 22 LR. Then we have that 17 Super Mag. And then the one on the very right is 17 HMR. And then you look at it from this view, and it's pretty interesting to see how tiny that 22 LR is in the middle. So again, 5.7, 22 mag, 22 LR, 17 Winchester Super Mag, and then that 17 HMR on the end. But let's send them all through the chronograph here, and I'll show you what I'm flinging them out of and what I'm flinging here all real quick. I'm actually going to show you speeds of 3 different 17 HMRs, because that's kind of the highlight of the discussion. Is 17 HMR really that worse than the 17 Super Mag? So I've got first up these 17 grainers that are the Varmint HVs from Winchester. Everything in this video is suppressed except for the 22 mag. I don't have a threaded barrel 22 mag, but banished 22 can on the end there. 17 HMR. This is my Savage model 93 R17. Here we go. 2483. Wow, faster than I expected. 2567. Not super consistent, but pretty fast. Now we're going to go with those heavier 20 grain 17 HMR. 2203. So, oh no. So those lighter 17 grainers definitely were more zippy. We'll see how zippy these Remington Magnum rimfires are. These are also 17 grainers. These Remingtons is what this Savage likes. I did a video splitting a card with them at 100 yards. Also 17 grainers. 2670. Wow, those Remingtons are smoking. 2616. Wow. All right, for the 22 LR, this is a Bergara BMRX Carbon, and I've got some Remington Golden Bullets. Should be 40 grain, I believe. 1228. I put the same suppressor on there, Banish 22. 1200. Let's go ahead and do the 17 Winchester Super Mag. The whole reason that I even wanted to film this video is get some chronograph speeds from this. It says they're supposed to be going 3,000 feet per second. Let's see what happens. See what happens. We don't need a ton of zoomies for this, or 100-yard parallax. 2937. So out of this barrel, it's almost 3,000. 2873. Now I'm pretty sure we had some 17 HMR that was in the 2600s, but we'll see all this on the chart at the end. Let's grab the 5.7 next. All right, now for my 5.7, this is actually pretty interesting. This is a Dark Mountain Arms. I got a Zero Tech on there. We get good discounts with them, 20% off, I believe. Check out the codes for those if you want to check out some good optics with some discounts. And I put that same Banish 223 on there, but this Dark Mountain Arms is a single feed left-hand bolt, and that's how you work it. And these 5.7s I have in here are some Federal American Eagle 40 grainers. How fast does the box say on this? It doesn't say. Let's also, to cock this, you do this. Boop. Don't need all the zoomies here for right here in front of us. 1882. Honestly, I would have guessed higher than that. Let's try another one. Maybe that one was a dud. It's not real fast, is it? 2072. So not super consistent in that 5.7 either. What's left? 22 mag, the loudest one. I got to get my ears because I don't have a shusher for that one. My 22 mag is this CZ 457 Varmint. The Varmint's got a heavy barrel, but this one isn't threaded. Somebody said, wah, wah, wah. And the stuff I loaded in this is some of this Magnum Rimfire from Remington. And in 22 mag, it is all 40 grainer as well. So let's see how good this is. There's probably another crowd out there that says, oh, I don't need that 17 Super Mag. I got my old 22 mag. I know a bunch of y'all love 22 mag too. I don't need all the zoomies for this. This is a Blackhound scope. We also get big discounts on their scopes as well. Here we go. Send some of these Remingtons. 1712. 1880. So, man, I kind of want to do a couple more of those. Let's do it while we can. Those speeds weren't exactly the same, were they? But they are 40 grainers, so you also got to take that into consideration. We're not talking about 20 grainers now. We're talking about 40 grainers. So that, yeah, that 1800, high 1800s is the real number for that. But let's run in. Let me put up some computer work, put all these numbers together real quick so y'all just have a quick video to watch. And we'll talk about the 4 rimfires and the 1 center fire and the speeds. The real question is, do you really need a 17 Winchester Super Mag? Or are the other ones good enough? Let's look at the numbers. All right, so I put all those speeds together. I'm just gonna put them in a picture down here or up here somewhere on the screen. So, question again is the 17 Winchester Super Mag really worth it? I have the box right here. 20 grain Super Mags. Is it worth it? Well, that's why we got the old chronograph out to see what happens. So, I've got the average speeds there. Green, just like everything else, if you see my videos, green means good. We're considering speed good in this instance. Green means good, red means the slowest, yellow and orange is in between somewhere. So we tested 5 different cartridges. Only have one of that Super Mag. What was the average speed there? 2,905 feet per second. That's booking it pretty fast. That's faster than quite a bit of centerfire deer cartridges. Then we had the 17 HMR Remingtons, which was number 2. Average speed was 2,643 feet per second, which on average is how much faster, or how much slower rather, than a Winchester Super Mag on average. 262 feet per second slower. Same question on those heavier 17 HMRs. Well, then we're talking about 677 feet per second slower. So that's a pretty big gap. Then another 17 grainer, those high velocity Hornady 17 grainers, no, Winchesters, they were Winchesters. These right here, quite a bit slower than the 17 grain Remingtons. On average 380 feet per second slower. 22 LR, my goodness, that stuff, 22 LR, if you never put it into perspective of these other rimfires, man, it's slow. And that was the supersonic stuff. But almost 1,700 feet per second slower than that Super Mag. Then we talk about 5.7, which, yeah, it's a center fire, but why not throw it in there anyways? It's a 22. It's a 40 grainer, heavier. So was the 22 LR. I forgot to mention that. Quite a bit slower than I figured in my head. There are lighter 5.7s, but just the one I grabbed. And then the 22 Mag, a 40 grainer as well. So you got to keep that in mind. But on average, 1,109 feet per second slower than that 17 WSM. So I think it really comes down to what you want. For most people, I think these right here is all you need. Let's just pop up the numbers again of these. These are the Remington 17 HMR. Quite a bit hotter than the Winchester stuff we tested. This stuff right here is only 262 feet per second slower. Now, is that going to make a huge difference? Probably not. At 200 yards, yeah, it's dropping faster. But who's really doing rimfire at 200 yards? Most people are doing rimfire at 100 yards and in. So a hot 17 HMR is getting pretty close to that 17 Winchester Super Mag. Now, is 17 Winchester Super Mag definitely the fastest kid on the block when it comes to these rimfires we tested? Yep. But my perspective, hey, I got to have videos on everything, so I'm trying to increase my own knowledge and just relay that stuff to you. Is 17 Super Mag cool? Yes, it's cool. But does it really blow everything out of the water? I don't think so. And I proved it today in this video. Those Remingtons are loaded pretty stout. Other random knowledge, if you look at all this data, rimfire in general just isn't that consistent. That's why when you go to see the 22 LR matches, they're all using subsonic, because that expensive subsonic ammo is a lot more consistent. Some of this stuff, man, is all over the place. 100 feet per second difference in some of those. Pretty wild. But hey, appreciate you watching. More coming soon on the 17 Winchester Super Mag. I think doing this exact same thing on some clay might be an awesome idea. I might be filming that next. Who knows? Stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed. Appreciate y'all so much for watching. I got tons of videos on the way. I promise you don't want to miss. Appreciate y'all. We'll see you on the next one. Hooty hoo.